Lorraine.
Hi, Lorraine.
I know, but we went two Lorraines.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this interview series. And
Pleasure.
we've interviewed some experienced arbitration practitioners, and we've learned so much from what they've shared. And we can't wait to hear what you have to share with us as well. You know, and the first question we always ask: walk us through your journey. How did you get here? How did you get into this arbitration space?
And it's indeed still a journey. It's an ongoing journey. But how did I get here? Well, I did the Vismut court in law school. So I think, like a lot of arbitration practitioners, I was sort of part of maybe the first generation of Vismuties. And just had a friend in law school. She knows who she is. Who encouraged me to do that, and I loved it, and I thought, this is what I want to do in life, and that led to meeting people, then interviews, and then getting the first position as an associate.
Right, so you're a partner now. Is what you envisaged the job of an arbitrator should be, or an arbitration practitioner should be, is that what you're experiencing now?
To be frank, I don't remember, honestly, what I thought the job would be like, 20 years ago, because I did start almost 20 years ago. In the fall of 2006, I was quite young, and but I think, let's put it this way, I'm still doing it, and that's because I really enjoy it, and I do think that what's wonderful about being in arbitration, being a partner in a law firm, but not just a partner, also associate counsel, is just how many different challenges we have, how many different types of cases we have, how privileged we are to work with so many smart people, and from an international background. So I think I did imagine it as being international, but I don't think I could imagine 20 years ago all the different types of cases I would work on.
Right. I like the fact that you talked about the different parts of arbitration, and I just wanted to find out which area of arbitration are you interested in? What has piqued your interest, and how are you developing that area?
I really do like the fact of doing different things. So for better or worse, there's not one topic or area that I'm really a specialist in, because I think I'm doing lots of different things, and that's what I like. I cannot tell you, for instance, that I have a preference for investment or commercial. I do both. I have in the past done construction arbitration. I have been doing less of that in recent years, but I did enjoy some construction cases, and I also am very proud of the fact and of working both for states and investors. I think that is something that is important to me, because I think you see both sides of the coin, and I think it makes you a better advocate to be able to do both. In terms of sectors, I have done, I think, primarily mining cases and, let's say, energy related cases, and I think it makes sense to continue generally in those spheres, but that's of course still very broad.
Yeah. A lot of young arbitration practitioners can't wait to have their first appointment, either as counsel or tribunal. Tell me about your first appointment. How did you get it, and how did it feel like?
Okay, well, so the first appointment as arbitrator was several years ago, and it came out of the blue, and I think that's often what happens, and it was not from a specific colleague, it was from an institution, and I was delighted and really enjoyed it. So
imagine.
Yeah, so I can't say I did something, it just came one day. I had an email, and I don't think there's steps you can take to get that first appointment, other than just trying to do a good job every day at what you do, and of course, you need to be somewhat visible to people so that they think of you, but I don't think you can do much more than that, And I don't know, appointment as counsel, appointment as counsel, that, I'm trying to think what would have been my very first case. My very first case, probably my first case in arbitration would have been a big construction case in Africa. All about asphalt.
Okay.
Very exciting. Actually, it was exciting.
Okay, good to know. We are in a day and age where there are a lot of conferences being organized, and I'm wondering, how do you pick and choose which conferences to attend? Because I think as young arbitration practitioners, we are always told to attend conferences, but we don't know which ones will give us the most benefit. And I believe resources are also scarce, so it's important to know which one to go for. How do you decide?
That's a very good question. There are definitely, I think, too many conferences. So I do think you have to be selective, and I think you have to look at the topics. Are these topics that A, interest me, and that B, I think will be well discussed at this particular event, and who are the speakers? Are these people that I think will have something to add on that particular topic? There are a lot of conferences where there's a mismatch, let's say, perhaps between the speakers and the topics. There are certain topics that are discussed at multiple conferences, so you want to try to figure out, okay, which is going to be the best one. I think there are some events that are just consistently very good. For instance, I think the ITA events in the United States are quite good, but they're not the only ones. But that's an example.
Yeah, and when we go for these conferences, how do we make the most out of it in terms of networking? Because I know a lot of people end up either dishing out their cards or taking too many cards, and then they go home and those cards are piled somewhere. They never get in touch with the people. How do you ensure that the networking is at its best at these conferences?
I think the most important thing is you need to be yourself, you need to be genuine. So if you're just trying to, network for the purpose of networking, I think you can get lost in what is it I'm actually trying to achieve. You're trying to make meaningful acquaintances, either that a client or a future colleague or someone who's in the field who may refer work to you, or someone you'd like to work with in some capacity, and so that means you want to like them, right? If that's the first thing, is you want the whole point is, do we not artificial,
right.
And not who is going to get me to where I want to go. It doesn't work like that. I think if you think like that, I need to meet that person because they're going to get me there, that it just doesn't really work out that well.
Yeah.
So I think the goal is to be yourself, be authentic, be genuine, take a genuine interest in people, listen to them, see where you have connections. Also don't be shy, do tell people who you are, what you do, volunteer information, don't just ask, but you give information. I am very old school. I like to do business cards, and I like to take business cards. So one tip, if you can call it that, but one thing I try to do, but I don't always manage, is after a conference, I take the cards back and I make notes on them as to, whatever, what something that is not on the card but that I want to remember about that person, maybe their nationality, or where they, or that they have 3 kids, or that they love chocolate, or that they just did a really big mining case, whatever.
But they have the same name.
Or they have the same name, but that's going to be on the card. But but a fun fact or something. And then I'll put on the card, met at ITA conference in June 2022.
Okay.
And I try to keep track of that in my contacts. But as I say, I don't always manage to do this, but I find that does help to just, make it a little bit more meaningful. There's no point taking a business card if you don't want to take it and you don't mean to keep it.
Right.
Much utility to me.
Because you have the experience.
Well, I don't want to. No, I still have a lot to learn, and I learn every day.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that the learning I would get would be really from those courses, or as I say, I'm not aware of which ones I maybe should be thinking about.
Yeah, right. So along your journey, do you have mentors, people who helped you along the way, and how did you relate with them to ensure that that relationship was beneficial to both you and your mentor?
I have definitely had mentors. I think I still have mentors. You know, more senior partners at this firm primarily. But you know, I think mentorship has become a big topic over the years, and much more of a recognized topic. There again, when I started, people weren't really talking about mentors in law firms or mentorship programs. There weren't all these mentorship programs that exist through various associations. I'm very proud to be an ITA mentor for groups. I've done that for a few years. So, but that didn't exist there again when I was younger. I think it's very important to have mentors within the firm where you are working, but also to have some that are external, because you may ask them different things inevitably. And I think a lot of young people today want to have sort of an official mentor, whether it's internal or external. But to me, you know, a lot of mentorship happens without having a formal mentor. And I think often in a company or law firm, they may have systems where, you know, you join as a young associate and you're told this person is your mentor, and that person may be lovely, and that person may be a sort of mentor, but it's very possible that some other person is going to de facto be a better mentor for you. For all sorts of reasons. Maybe it's because you're working with them, maybe it's because you're not working with them, maybe it's because culturally or just personality wise you click better. So I think my advice in that regard is that I think it's good to seek out these mentorship programs. At the same time, I think, look, mentors are people you like who can tell you about what they're doing and just share with you, right? And it's that simple. So it doesn't have to be official.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us for this. Lorraine, this is the point where you look into the camera and you speak to our young arbitration practitioners. 3 things that you think they should absolutely do, or 3 character traits they should possess to ensure that they are great arbitration practitioners. Let's go.
That's hard, Lorraine, but I would say you certainly need to work hard, be yourself, you need to enjoy it, and you need to be a team player. I think that's maybe 3.5 things, but
please tell us a little bit about being a team player.
Okay, sure. Being a team player, I think, you know, it's if you are trying to just advance on your own, you won't make it. For a lot of arbitration cases, they're big, and it is a team working on it, and you can't do that case without a good team, and they need you as well. So I think reputation is everything in this field. You want your colleagues to like you, to appreciate you, and vice versa. That's how it should be, right? And I think that's when you can recommend someone, you know, 20 years down the line, either as an arbitrator or as a lawyer. You say, well, I worked with them, and they were wonderful, and I really enjoyed working with them. They're smart, but they also worked well with me. So I think I think it really is a team sport.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you so much, Lorraine. Just a final one. If Lorraine is not in an arbitration practice or being a partner, you know, what are some of the things that you enjoy doing?
I am busy raising my small daughter, and if I'm not in London, then you'll probably find me at my family home in Western France, in Brittany, by the beach.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Lorraine, for spending your time with us. We really appreciate
Thank you, Lorraine.
Bye.
Best of luck to you. Bye.
Thank you.